again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Inside Lowell Daily Pulse, the Monday, August 11th edition of the Daily Pulse. I'm your host, 𝐃𝐚𝐢𝐥𝐲, coming to you from the WellPoint Studios here in downtown Lowell, and we're kicking off another week of the Daily Pulse. It's going to be a short week for me, but fear not. My friend, Madam President Danielle McFadden, will step in Wednesday through Friday to bring you a Daily Pulse while I'm away on vacation. I'll give you a show tomorrow, or I'll find a way to trigger you and annoy you. But today, I'm excited because I got one of my favorite and regular guest co-hosts on the Daily Pulse, none other than former City of Lowell elections director, former state elections official in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, former congressional aide. You and Bill Samaras, right? Yep. It's going to be a Greek thing. You had all these former titles. Whenever I have to introduce you to on the Daily Pulse, it's always former this, former that. Never stay in one place too long, right?
Yeah, and you become more useful, I think. You learn more. And that's why Crane picked me up, because I was state rep's aide and I went to state treasurer. And probably the reason why I ended up, that's how I ended up with Chester, because I had those two backgrounds and they were me. And I don't know how anybody can work for 40 years in government office.
Well, that's old school, right? That's you stay with the same company, whether it's government or not, from life till death. And
but I did do 27 with Galvin, but Billy was around from day one. So I could admit that, but I did get married. So I settled down. Wow, 27 Galvin, second.
Holy smokes. Well, that experience is why you're here today, Greg Pappas, former elections director, because there's a lot going on throughout. The big battle around the country is over redistricting, and we're hearing the word gerrymandering being thrown around tightly, loosely, a number of which ways. So we want to talk a little bit about the interesting history of gerrymandering and how we say everything comes back to Lowell, or at least Greater Lowell. Right. We're going to talk about that with Greg. We're going to take a look at some congressional maps, and we got some other interesting election-related things that are happening in advance of the 2026 ballot question. So we're going to talk about all of that with Greg. Let me first just thank my Daily Pulse sponsors. You know about Ray Booten, right? Licensed realtor in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, certified appraiser in both states as well. So if you're looking to buy or sell a home, a business, or a commercial property, you need to get in touch with Ray Stat. Find him online, realestaterayBooten.com. That's realestaterayBooten.com. Thank you as well to our friends at WellPoint. We're coming here from the WellPoint Studios. It's the only health plan that offers health care benefits exclusively to Massachusetts GIC members at WellPoint. Your whole health is their whole point. Thank you, Ray. Thank you, WellPoint. We'll thank our other sponsors in a few minutes, but let's get right down to it. First, quick little update. Today is, the President Donald Trump keeps calling things Liberation Day, right? Yeah. April 1st, right? The first tariff day was Liberation Day. Right. Now he's calling today Washington, D.C. Yeah. Liberation Day.
Talking people live down there.
So you did. And that's why, what you were there, Chet Atkins was congressman, so late 70s, early 80s. Actually, when did you serve in D.C.?
I was back and forth.
Okay.
But that was in after 1990, like 90.
Was it that late?
Yeah, it was later, yeah.
Oh, okay.
92, 93.
I was thinking Atkins served for a longer period of time.
I came in at the end.
Okay.
I helped him run his campaign at the beginning, but he offered me in 84, and I said no. I wanted to stay. Crane offered me, and I wanted to stay in Boston. I didn't really want.
All right, so you did. So you did live for a period of time in Washington D.C.
Kind of back and forth all the time.
What was it like? What was it? Did you feel any fear? Some of these stories that we hear today about.
The scariest thing I remember being in D.C. was staying at Chester's apartment one night, which was like a living everybody open door policy. People coming. It was a UMass professor sleeping on the couch when okay. But the scariest thing was we had the windows open. It was like an August night, and you hear this friggin' lion roar like he's right outside. The zoo was right down the street. That was the scariest thing. That was it. DC was safe. So,
some folks would tell you the scariest thing would be staying in Barney Frank's apartment, not Chester.
I knew Barney. I mean, I got to tell you, Barney, crazy as he was, but Barney Frank was the brightest guy I've ever met. I said that to Nick. I remember when he got up on the House floor to speak as a freshman rep. He came from Kevin White's office. Kevin White was the mayor, and he came to work. And I remember saying that Ray Amaro, the chief court officer, and a couple other guys, who was this guy? I mean, you knew he wasn't supposed to be. It was way above it mentally.
Right.
Bonnie Frank's very good.
Really?
I mean, he's got issues. We all do. But he was, oh my God, the man's brilliant. I mean, we're older now and things happen, but he was just way ahead of himself.
Interesting. So what happened? How did Washington, D.C. get to the level that it is today where there are, I mean, you're reading about some high profile violent crime. You had a congressional aide get killed, shot and killed in crossfire between warring youth groups or gangs. Just a week or two ago, a Washington a government staffer, it turns out he was one of these young kids that was part of Elon Musk's Doge team. He's still there. He got beaten to within an inch of his life, trying to defend his dates from having her car carjacked or whatever the case was.
A woman crossing the street, an older woman. He's helping her across the street. They were.
Oh, was it really? I thought it was his date was getting her car carjacked.
I was told from somebody said that he saw this woman trying to grab a pocketbook, and the woman's on a walker, and he went over and he stopped it. I mean, they didn't do it, but he got beaten up. But it's a story of you should see what they look like.
So Donald Trump, the president, has said that's it. We're sending in. He's going to announce it officially today. He may, while we're actually recording the show, he's going to deploy what is it, 1,000 National Guard troops to D.C.
too. So I saw something yesterday. The Pentagon was already mobilizing. So that's why I figured.
Okay.
They have a mobilization thing to find out about before it happens.
So who is responsible for safety in Washington, D.C.? Is it not the Capitol Police? They're just responsible for government buildings, right? D.C. has its own police force under the control of the mayor, who is now warring with President Trump over this.
The president has some play over that because the District of Columbia, when it was created, was not supposed to be residential. It was supposed to be a federal district. Even the Congress, they were supposed to build dormitories for House members and senators. So when they came and they worked, they stayed in the dormitories, and then when they went home, that's what they were supposed. It was not supposed to be residential.
Instead of getting their $1 million plus condos in the surrounding communities of Maryland and Virginia.
But that's fine, but the point being is that District of Columbia was not supposed to have residents. It was supposed to be hotels and businesses and stuff. But the intent of it was not supposed to be houses and peoples and the city government. It's not. That's why. I mean, I thought it was interesting. I saw somebody talking about the other day, and it's been a couple of times I heard about it. Taking the Washington Mall area and the federal buildings in that area, drawing a map around them, make that the new District of Columbia, and give the rest back to Maryland. Because they're not supposed to be there.
So what happened? When did this start to change and Washington, D.C. become what it is now, a residential neighborhood?
I remember historically, Dr. Berg was talking about it in Suffolk. And I remember it was somewhere between after the War of 1812 and before Andrew Jackson, people started to get little favors. Can I build a house here? I'm going to build a house there. And the next thing you know, the federal government was selling them the land. Because the federal government owned the whole 10 square miles.
Okay.
So why would you sell? You ever know the federal government to sell anybody land for a house? No. I mean, low-income housing, they do that.
Do they need, is that how they balanced the budget back in the old days when it was balanced?
I don't know. But the point is, that's where it started happening. It was supposed to be the District of Columbia. It was not supposed to be represented in Congress. It was not supposed to be represented anyway. It was supposed to be the federal government to exist in that district.
Should Americans be concerned? Should Washington, D.C. residents be concerned, no matter how dangerous the situation currently is? When you start seeing federal troops, whether it's Guard or other military, on the streets, these folks aren't necessarily trained in law enforcement, right? Certainly, and I would imagine certainly not in 2025 law enforcement, the way it's been, kind of handcuffed in many ways with things they can and can't do. Right. So can this end in anything but a tragedy?
No, I think, well, the thing is, I've talked to a few friends that still live down there. One lives right around the corner from President Obama, who was the only president of the United States of all the 57, what do we got, 47? Yeah, that has never left Washington, D.C. But they've talking about, and another friend of mine from April, he lives down, and is that they kind of, when Trump was in for 4 years, back his first term, it was great. They were out walking downtown doing stuff inside. When Biden came back in, crime was back up again. Trump's back in, they're back to going up again a little bit more. I think the thing is that they're going to welcome it because it's the highest crime. It's got the highest crime rate in the country, the national capital.
Well, that was apparently only the case in the last 2 weeks, because we were told how safe Washington, D.C. was, and 37% drop in assaults and carjackings and all these other violent crime statistics. And turns out just, a week ago, they fired the police chief out there because he was doctoring the data?
They fired the police chief, and then they fired the person who was doctoring the police. Yeah.
So clearly it wasn't safe.
No.
That said, I still get a little nervous, only because I think there are people who are intentionally trying to provoke some type of a government officer involved shooting. You see it with ICE and this kind of nonstop feeding of the beast, where people are now throwing rocks and bricks through ICE vehicles, and it's only a matter of time as I see it, before an ICE officer, says enough is enough.
Well, that happened
opens.
In California, and the guy's in jail.
Right, that guy's in jail. But I can see a scenario where there will be an ICE officer involved shooting. The person will die, and then all hell's gonna break loose over why do you have these military style or Nazi style brown shirts patrolling the streets. I almost think when you let your neighborhood, when you let your district, as the District of Columbia, get as violent and as dangerous as it's become, when you've got people trying to do the government's business every single day in that district, I don't think that's incompetence. I think that's intentional mismanagement, trying to create a scenario. And in this case, my fear is this is a scenario they're trying to create. I've long felt that there's a certain segment of our country that is longing for Kent State. Yeah. Which involved this, a National Guard shooting of college protesters, and ultimately is credited for helping turn the tide against the Vietnam War.
Right. But it was a different time period. Right now, you have more people with licenses to carry than you did back then. And that's why I said I think the Democratic Party, Democratic Socialist Party, the Democrats don't run it anymore, and they admit it's a socialist. Even Jimmy Carvell admitted it the other. Just I was watching a clip on him with a former senator friend. Sent it to him this morning. He's basically saying that you chased everybody away. People are leaving the party all this. Now you have to go up the cuckoo bridge. So you might as well embrace all the illegals, embrace all the rapists, embrace all the pedophiles. Try to organize them, because you're going to be out of a party. Close that. And Carvell's good with numbers, but he only really was involved with the Clinton campaign. He's not this guru. There's a lot of us have been around a lot longer, but he's smart enough. But he's actually saying that the socialist democratic concept that goes back to even Trotsky and Lenin. Those people weren't good people. I mean, Trotsky. You go to Russia and you read the stories on Trotsky. Trotsky raped his daughter twice and murdered his son-in-law, if I remember correctly. These people were bad people. Stalin murdered more people after World War II than they were killed. He got rid of all the what he called the weenies, wimps, and stuff like that. Even today, you can go to Russia. No handicap. There's very few. I don't think there's any black people of color. There's no Down syndrome. What do you think happened? They don't. They're not. If that's what these people want, it's like I said, I was looking at City Hall when they were out there protesting for Palestine. A group from Lowell that was from the LGBT community. The person got hit in the face. She went back. We want to help you. It's her again. I mean, you get it. They're going to throw you off a building. They have no use for you. But I mean, it's the DC thing. I just think it's something people want. They want law and order, and they want to live back in a republic that's law and order. And that's, like I said, even now. I mean, I had to renew for my gun permit. It comes up in September every 4 years. But I had a apply in May for September. I used to just re-up in September. And the reason is because there's so many people out there, mostly women, even in Massachusetts. So I don't think they're worried about. I think they like the idea of national guard.
public safety is usually a strong campaign issue for folks who are supporting it. You would think that this, you know, I agree. There'll be a segment of DC, and I've seen news reports from actual Washington, DC television networks, not the national mainstream media that's making this something different. And there are people who are residents who are living there who are concerned about the violence, and they'll tell you the truth.
The vast majority of them, I know.
I do worry, however, about once you get these military soldier types on the roads, and I know you try to get the folks who are trained in urban situations, but I hope I'm wrong about what I see playing out.
Too, but the thing is, unfortunately, just like they like to see certain things happen. Now the average person, you look online, you see some kid get the crap beat out of him, and it's like people we know going, great, hit him again. People have been turned that far away. That's how hard it is right now. Their hearts have been turned like, we don't care. I mean, whack them one more time. I mean, like the kids in Drake, they did a story on the kids riding the bicycles in Drake. It ended up on Channel 25 News. Last week, I was listening to the scanner, and a kid hit a telephone pole. The police went down there, and everything. But the bottom line is, none of the neighbors said what they saw, but I don't think the kid just hit the telephone pole, if you know what I'm saying. That's just saying, when the public starts taking it into their own hands, and the police know it, I mean, what are they going to do? The cops are going to smart. I give the Drake cops and the Lowell cops, police officers, I mean, tremendous credit for the strength they have to go through with the stuff that they have to put up with. But
all right. Well, you mentioned Drake. You brought us back from Washington, D.C., but there's a connection to a national, countrywide, nationwide battle going on, and Drake / Lowell, Massachusetts. We're going to tell you what that connection is with our guest, Greg Pappas, former elections director for the city of Lowell. Let me just quickly thank all of our Daily Pulse sponsors, Ray Booten, licensed realtor in Mass and New Hampshire. Find them online, realestaterayBooten.com. Thanks as well to WellPoint. At WellPoint, your whole health is their whole point. Washington Savings Bank, banking that goes the extra mile. Make the switch now to Washington Savings Bank. TMI Properties, quality and value at every price point. Find your perfect space with TMI. Mahoney Oil, providing warmth and protection to Greater Lowell and Southern New Hampshire families since 1925. The Greater Lowell Community Foundation, improving the quality of life through strategic, impactful philanthropy. Francis E. Preventure Insurance, the agency Greater Lowell has counted on to protect its most valuable assets since 1982, and by the Massachusetts Pirates, bringing all the hard-hitting action and excitement of arena football to the Mill City. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Thanks as well to Greg Pappas for being here. All right, gerrymandering, a term that is now being thrown around, and depending on who you listen to, Republicans are creating this problem. Democrats have been doing this forever, and they don't like a taste of their own medicine. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. It's this, it's that.
Right.
But what you literally had the spectacle last week of state representatives from Texas fleeing to other states, Massachusetts included, to not have to go back, try to stall a vote in Texas,
not having a quorum,
redrawing the Texas districts mid-census.
Which you can.
Yeah, so that was going to be my first question to you. You have the census every decade. They had it in 2020, and then some point around 21, 22, you redraw your districts. Every state does it around that census, and then goes out, and then we'll wait until 2030 to do it again.
Right.
You're saying you can redraw them.
It says you have to do it within 10 years.
Within 10 years, not once. Okay.
Yeah.
So you could theoretically redraw district lines legally. A state can redraw its congressional districts, and then by extension of that, the congressional districts, of course, set the statewide districts, right? You can do that every 2 years.
I mean, technically, yeah.
Has it been Has it been done in practice, or at any point?
Well, you have to go back to colonial era, not colonial, when the country first started. Like, for instance, they used to, when the country was growing, they used to have to draw them quite often to add more population. Because, you'd have congressional seats that have 30,000 people, and all of a sudden 100,000 people would move to Lowell. And then 2 years later, the congressperson from Lowell, let's say in 1805 or something like that, has 200,000 people in the district, and the others only have 40. So you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
And it was actually, we didn't start off with 435 members in the House. They were adding seats up into 1920.
Well, don't they add them with each new state? So that they would have added once Alaska and Hawaii get put into the union as well?
Right, and that's how they handle the population too. Like, now it's stopped, so everything is divided by 435. So you're up to about 700,000 people per congressional district. If you don't add any more seats, someday if the population goes up, you have 1 million per congressional. It's just, they stopped at that point. That's how redistricting is done. But you're supposed to do it fairly, and you can't. It's supposed to be done according to just basically historical associations of communities. Like we know Lowell, Lawrence, and Haverhill, but you have a history that goes way back. That makes sense. A lot of people, there's a lot of things as common as possible, but they haven't done that for years. And even the redistricting we had the last time in 20, I mean, every year as I go, even to high school, back in the State House, every single redistricting, we lost one person. I said to a friend of mine, I said, we didn't lose one this time. We should have lost. I think we should have lost 2, but we probably should have at least lost 1. Because you always had a House member going against each other. You didn't this time. They were counting illegals. You know what it's supposed to do.
So this is kind of the battle here.
It's not fair to people that are Americans in other states.
I ultimately think this is part of the strategy of the Trump administration and how he's going to tackle U.S. elections on many fronts before 2026, and certainly before the 2028 presidential election.
You admitted in 2022 that they screwed up. That eight different communities, 8 different states rather, that screwed on congressional. They should have gotten the seat in the other states. Shouldn't have.
States were undercounted.
I'm going to predict even in 2030 that we're going to end up with. I'm just going to guess. I think we're going to lose 2 congressional seats. And I'm sorry about that.
You're an important man. Are those your CIA messages coming in?
Yeah, but we're gonna, I think we're going to lose 2, and I just don't see how we don't. I mean, New England's not growing, and the other parts of the country are.
All right,
and that means you got to put congressperson against congressperson. So, you could see in 5 years, you could see like Laurie against Seth Moulton if he's still there. Moulton was still there. You could see Stevie Lynch against Keaton. Or you could see maybe Keaton leaves, goes away, and it saves one thing where they don't have an opposition. They used to try to do that.
Sure.
Like they gave Brian Donnelly, a congressman when I was down years ago. They gave him the ambassadorship to the Bahamas.
Yeah, somebody stepped down in 2010 or 2012, so there wouldn't be a head-to-head. Okay.
So the head-to-head, made nice in the party and stuff. But gerrymandering goes back, like you said, Governor Eldridge. Not Eldridge, Governor Elbridge.
Okay, pause on that.
Yeah.
You said Elbridge with a B.
Yes.
Up until this morning, he was Governor Jerry Eldridge.
Yeah, that's.
I'm sorry, Governor Eldridge Jerry. I apologize.
Yeah.
It's Elbridge.
Elbridge.
With a B.
Yeah, that's spell check. If you go into the state the state records. Yeah, because I used to have to look at all the governors.
All right. So before you came in, I recorded a Boston Bros podcast with Peter Lucas from the Herald and Jim Campanini, formerly of the Sun.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the gerrymandering case and Governor Jerry.
Yeah.
And they said he was a founding father.
Yes.
Which I did not know.
He was a congressman when Washington was president.
So as a founding father, his signature is on the Declaration of Independence, right?
I think he is. And like I said, I know he served in the first House of Representatives or the second, but he served in Washington. And you didn't hear about him for like 20 years. Yeah. And then he came back as governor to Massachusetts. Then he got picked as to be vice president.
He was a vice presidential selection.
During the War of 1812.
Okay.
Yeah. So he was a vice president. He was vice president of the
United States. So he was elected as vice president.
Correct.
Okay.
He was elected as vice president
all right.
during the War of 1812 and with Madison. So a lot of those guys in those days, they would switch vice presidents to second.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Ted.
Don't worry about it. So you think you did. So as everybody talks about, now you're starting to hear it repeated over and over again. You know, why is Maura Healey complaining? Gerrymandering was invented in Massachusetts by their own governor. But it wasn't just that the governor was from Massachusetts. He was from our parts of Massachusetts.
Right. Yeah.
So, Drake and Kid?
Yeah.
I'm
not sure.
The Drake, he was connected to the Drake and Lowell area, right?
Bonham was Drake, and he was became Speaker of the United States House. Was supposed to be Vice President. I can't remember exactly where Governor Jerry was from.
Varnum, as in the Varnum Avenues.
Joe Bonham. He was a United.
That's the Drake connection.
Yeah, he was United States Congress. He's buried in Parker Village, in the Parker Cemetery, rather. And he was Speaker of the United States House from Drake. He was going to be Andrew Jackson's, I think, vice president. He died before the nomination of the presidency election.
And okay,
but he could have been a future president too. But they're all from this area.
Okay,
yeah.
So what is the definition of gerrymandering? And was it always a negative connotation?
Well, after that it was, because he drew a district that was like, he just went and picked every single town and city that would make up a district for one party. That is said to it was said to resemble a salamander. Yeah, exactly.
And that's why they called it gerrymandering after that.
That's the governor's name, right?
Okay.
It just worked out well. Yeah.
All right. So as I hear all this,
it didn't look good.
As I hear all this uproar, and now Governor Gavin Newsom out in California is threatening we're gonna gerrymander out the 8 Republicans, because California has 8 or 9 Republicans, I think.
Well, if he's admitting that, then good luck to him.
So
he's just going to cause more trouble for himself.
So my question is, can he gerrymander California any more than it's already gerrymandered? Just like as Maura Healey was standing arm in arm with her colleagues from Texas, like, what is she going to do? Is she going to change the districts in Massachusetts? How? So that the 0 Republicans stays 0 Republicans in Massachusetts?
It's not the governor, it's the secretary. Secretary of State does the. I mean, I should put this in the legislature does.
Right.
But the Secretary of State puts all this stuff together. But generally, over the last 20-something years, he's been secretary, whatever he gives the legislature to do, because they have no clue what he's doing.
So
Dave Paleologus actually used to do it. Very technical.
So Massachusetts has 9 congressional districts.
Yeah.
Here's what they look like.
Oh, yeah.
There you have them right there. You see the big number, the 1 through 9.
Yep.
You see the number 3 up there, the kind of the top center. That's us, Lowell, Greater Lowell. Interesting little district. It goes a little sliver that follows up, a little tail that goes up towards Lawrence and Haverhill.
Right.
I remember looking at that when they redrew this district. Now, it used to be different up until 2010.
Right.
It included Haverhill and Lawrence, if I remember correctly, but they took away certain towns that are natural, neighbors of
Tewksbury, Wilmington. They were part of the Merrimack Valley Conference in football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're now Seth Moulton's district there, District 5, I believe, right?
He wouldn't want Haverhill because Haverhill was conservative.
But they stretched ours, 3, Lowell's congressional district, all the way out to Leominster, Fitchburg, and did a nice little job there. There's some really interesting districts over there that look like geographically, I would guess culturally, historically, have absolutely nothing in common. Well, right? Look at number 1.
Well, number 1 used to be Delaware's on top. Used to have, that's Richie Neal's. It used to go from Pepperell used to be in Richmond. Their congressman from Pepperell was where the hell was a but that's it's not easy drawing districts. I'll tell you, it's technical.
And to be fair, I mean, you're gonna have weird lines somewhere, and you're gonna do things. But let's be honest, it was invented in Massachusetts, and oops, wrong camera. It's still going on in Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it there, right?
The point I look at this is like, they said there's more unenrolled registered now than there are Democrats, right? And there's not as many Republicans, but they're getting higher. Democrats are going down. They're going down for well. But what you have to really look at is, this has been pretty much almost the same for you. You had 10 districts. But the point is, what you've got to look at is, like say 50 years ago, 1975, today, you had 6 Republican governors or Democratic governors. So how do you get 6 Republican governors and no Republican districts? And the other thing is, I knew Ed King very well because of Gary Sullivan. We supported him for Dukakis. Ed King was really a Republican. So you really had 7 Republican governors, very conservative, and 3 Democrat. How do you not have any Republican housemen? You had Blute and Torkelson by accident.
Well, so thank you for mentioning that, because last Friday we did our Pod Squad podcast, and we were talking a little bit about gerrymandering, and I asked, I said, who were the last 2 United States congressmen or women who were Republican? And I couldn't think, and I was going back to was it Cronin or no?
Cronin.
But that goes back to the 70s and 80s, right?
District, one term, and the other one was Louise Day Hicks. No, not Louise Day Hicks. Was Louise Day Hicks Republican? Very, very conservative. Yeah, Reagan appointed an ambassador to Ireland.
Okay, so, but Peter Blute and Peter Torkelson, the 2 Peters, were the last 2 congressional representatives from Massachusetts to be Republicans.
That whole district, those 2 districts were right apart after the next session because they didn't want that to happen again.
And now at that time, I think we had 11 congressional seats at that point, or maybe even 12. But
I think it was 11.
So
12 was the year was when I first got down there.
But since 1996, Massachusetts has not had a single Republican congressional district.
And we've had basically 7.
And as you point out, you've had 6 or 7 Republican governors elected.
And lieutenant governors.
That I would venture to say that's gerrymandering. And I'm just curious, where are all the folks complaining today about Texas's efforts to gerrymander, and perhaps Missouri and others? Right. Where are all these folks today when you were doing this in your own state?
Right, and the census even admits that Texas should have 4 more, 2020, should have 4 more congressional seats. They got screwed out of 4 congressional seats. Texas. You read that report I sent you?
Yes.
Yeah, Texas got screwed out of 4. There's a couple other states, Republican states, got screwed out of. I don't know why they didn't sue for it, but they don't wake up to this stuff. This is the important stuff, and people don't.
Well, to me, this is going to be the battle, the biggest, and dare I say the most important battleground, while everybody else is fighting over big, beautiful bills and Ukraine and men and women. So put all that stuff aside. Right. All these little cultural and fiscal issues, they're important. But when it comes to power, control in Washington, D.C., these congressional districts, the census, and whether it counts illegal immigrants in the census or not, how you apportion those congressional seats matters, because if Republicans, if Donald Trump and his people are successful in pulling this off, they're going to see a significant increase in the number of congressional districts that you still have to win the election. So let's be honest. You can draw the districts all you want, but you still have to win the elections. But if you draw them in a way that advantages you, you could theoretically see a pickup of 8, 12, I'm hearing is the number, Republican congressional seats.
Minimum, 8 minimum.
So
it could be 12, but 8 minimum.
So as you talk about the midterm elections and Democrats desperately hoping to get control back of at least the House, this is an important issue to see it play out. The other thing, when you look to 2028, along with giving you a representative in Congress, it also gives you an electoral vote.
That's correct.
So your electoral college is based on, so you get 1 elector for each senator, plus 1 elector for each member of Congress. So if you have 2 senators, which every state does, and 9 members of Congress, Massachusetts now has 11 electoral votes. I'm old enough to remember when it had 14.
Oh, yeah.
And it probably more going even further back. You remember 16. So you know, when you look at that, when you start playing with that electoral map, as we do every 4 years,
Right.
and you try to figure out somebody's path to victory, if these changes go into effect in Texas and some other states, the next Republican could theoretically win the White House without winning any of the Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin,
Right.
which have proven so pivotal. It used to be Ohio and Florida would determine presidents. Now it kind of seems to be those 3 states, right? Whoever, as Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin go, so goes the presidency, and they've kind of gone in a uniform manner for a long time
and that's
now.
the reason for electoral college. People don't really, I mean, more people do now because they're a lot smarter because of the internet and this and the phone. But you could actually, if you went by population, you could have 13 states picking the president every time for, you know, the other, what, 37, 36? That wouldn't be too good. It's not, that's the problem. But there's a couple things too. Even when you go back, I don't know when it changed, because the electoral college was supposed to be by congressional district, which it is, but there was never winner take all. Like Trump won 1 seat up in Maine, but he didn't get the vote because winner takes all. No, Maine does it right. But if he won a couple of districts, or if the Democrats won, you're supposed to go by congressional district. You're not supposed to winner takes all. I don't know when they did that. I have to go back and look at the number. But that's a distortion too.
Interesting.
Because if you're in Illinois, you know, there's say 35 electoral college. Trump won like 16 of them or 14, but he didn't win the state popular vote. But he won the congressional district. You're supposed to get those votes. I don't know when they changed. Or if they did change it, they probably just, this is the diluting and stuff. Like they diluted the District of Columbia. That's been diluted too. Everything happens. So they just, once they start doing things incorrectly and wrong after time goes by, they figure it's okay.
Well,
And
speaking.
the Democratic Party, I mean, I'm sorry, you just keep saying, like, you know, keep saying the Democratic Party if they want to win. It's not the Democratic Party. If the Democratic Party wants to win, they better become the Democratic Party again. They're not the Democratic Party.
Yeah, that's not happening.
But then they're not going to win.
They're going the other way. I'm telling you, the Democratic Party nominee, I said this in 2020, and I will say it again, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez will be the Democratic nominee for president in 2028. You're likely looking at an AOC versus J.D. Vance presidential election.
I mean, it's like, you know, let them, that's fine. But don't, if I'm a normal Democrat and I'm in office now, I would not be supporting that. I'd be coming out against it. You know?
So one more little note about gerrymandering and all the folks who are concerned about it in Massachusetts now. And I appreciate your concern, because I've been kind of concerned about it for a while. Chelmsford, Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
Well, it used to be a pretty solid, I mean, they would go back and forth, but it was a pretty solid Republican House district here in Massachusetts until it got gerrymandered to a level where they were part of 4 House districts, tied in with 3 Lowell districts and Westford.
Right. And when I first said that, Bruce Freeman was the name Freeman Lake out. Bruce Freeman was a state rep, a Republican for years.
The Freeman Trail.
Right. And then Bruce stepped down. He passed on later, but he was in office a long time. Then Carol Clevin came and she won. She was a Republican. And they openly gerrymandered this town. They cut it in 4.
They cut it in 4.
It's illegal.
Yeah,
Because first of all, the big thing in districting, when you're sitting in the redistricting room, the one thing the speaker and everybody tries to do is not cut towns. Cities are okay because it's sections.
Because they're big, yeah.
You can make it work, because like the Northern would be to have something in common with East Boston, South Boston, something in common with different, you know, you could fit those in the city. It's expected. We cut cities, but we try not to cut a town. They cut the town in 4, not 9. It was the only town in Massachusetts that would be cut in 4.
And and connected it to the 3 Lowell districts. So at one time, Tom Golden, Kevin Murphy, and Dave Nangle each represented a piece of Chelmsford.
And with Dunstable, when she had it with Carlisle and Chelmsford, she had a piece of that, and she was a rep from Pocket. So you just cut Republicans, and they in 4 Republican town in 4, and you ended up with 4 Democrat. That's the perfect definition of gerrymandering.
100%. And again, if you have to split it in two, okay, it's a complicated it has to happen. You got to split the bigger city, but in 4, now they did, in fairness, they went back to 3. Right. They took away the 16th district, which was Belvedere, South Lowell, etc., and they took that away from then. Van Howard had won the seat from Dave Nangle at that point, and they took that away, and they gave they gave some of it. Yeah, correct. They gave her a piece of Tewksbury, and then Jim Arciero and Westford ended up gobbling up, still staying reliably Democratic. Chelmsford is never going to elect a Republican, which is ironic because as I look at it, Chelmsford has become a much more left-leaning town anyway. It's lost the path to its former Republican ways.
I haven't looked up. Did you look up the registered voters in Chelmsford? I'm just curious.
I haven't, but I see the way they vote on other things, and I see the way they vote in presidential elections and other things, gubernatorial races, and I'm like, oh, this isn't the Chelmsford that had to be gerrymandered. No. But it's as if to highlight that the gerrymandering goes on continuously. They took a part of Chelmsford away from the 16th Middlesex, which was, again, David Nangle's, then became Van Howard's, and added Tewksbury. And unless I'm mistaken, Van Howard lived in Tewksbury for a period. Interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting how that happened, huh?
But I will tell you the big picture, because I've seen it. Like I said, David used to do it from our office. His brother was a rep when I started. And David, I think, still does it. I think he contracts the state contracts.
Dave Paleologos from Suffolk Polling. Okay.
Yeah, and he helps out the secretary. And Billy knows the numbers, but, you try to, I mean, it's just, like I said, it's such a complicated process, but generally the reality is since the legislature does it, how it's always been, the speaker gets his district, the Senate president gets her district, and then you build from everything else that way.
And again,
you should really be going from like one end of the state to the other, coming across. So.
Right. It's humans who are doing this. I mean, probably with a little computer help nowadays, right? Should we just trust AI to draw the districts?
Well, anyway, the point is,
what would they look like if AI drew districts, right?
Yeah, that's a good question.
If we want to be impartial and fair, take the human element out of it. What would AI draw a district like? One more thing I want to talk to you about: majority-minority districts. Brought about because of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and Section 2 and 1458. Kind of Will Rosenberg, not Will Rosenberg, Corey Williams was giving me a little bit of this, the city solicitor, when I asked, because there's another Supreme Court case in Louisiana that is trying to block their efforts to create a second majority-minority district, which said to me, Lowell, as part of its settlement, the lawsuit, Holt versus Lowell, that forced the change in our election system and created the 2 majority-minority city council districts out of the 8 and the 1 out of 4 school committee majority-minority districts. If the Supreme Court takes a look at this Louisiana case and ultimately flips, it says, no, we're not, the days of, drawing district lines or college admissions or job applications, anything that considers race, those days are gone, which the court seems to be ruling bit by bit. If they do it here, Lowell's going to have to reconsider its majority-minority districts. It could, quite frankly, throw that settlement out. Would that case be?
I think it would do a lot of things. I mean, you got a Lawrence Senate district that's drawn, state Senate district specifically drawn, and you're not supposed to do that. That's gerrymandering too. No matter what. I think they are gonna rule on this stuff, and I think they're gonna rule that it's unconstitutional because it's not equal. Every man, one person, one vote. It's not. It's taking into the problem. It's creating the problem that they think they were going to solve. And the pro thing is, like, even in Boston, you go into a congressional district, you go into a city council district, you can get elected. You get elected in, West Roxbury, which is you need like 25,000 votes to be council. Area with this city council seat, same amount of people, you don't need like about 3,000. If they don't want to vote, you don't. I just don't see you reward them. That's why I said the whole system, even with Lowell, I mean, if you're punishing Belvedere because they vote, what a stupid thing to do.
Right.
They vote.
Right.
God bless them.
There are better ways to get more involvement than punishing the people who are actually involved.
It's so insane. It's so insane. And if they want to go in and they can control because they know how to do it. But the other insane thing now too is, like I said, what's crazy to me is you can I'm surprised that, if this was 30 years ago, Belvedere would have, the guys we know, there were more than, they would have had nominations in every single districts. You could go into Belvedere and bring 5 people in from the other districts, run 5 people and sign all their nomination papers right in Belvedere because they let you sign up. I don't know how they allow somebody in like Centerville sign papers for somebody in the Highlands district. I said that. I don't think that's right. I mean, it's not right. You can't do it for state rep or senator or Congress. You have to be in the district. I mean, somebody could really, you get some smart people and they want to do it, they could control the whole city council from one area again. You just pick a person, say, you run, you're going to be our guy. We'll get you all 150 signatures. Get the same people, 150 people sign. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you.
So wrong.
It would complicate things and make it difficult because then the number, getting 150 signatures in Belvedere is easy. Getting 150 signatures because the signatures have to be registered voters.
Right. So if you
it can't just be, even though your districts are drawn in a way that you all represent an equal number of people, or you're in the same ballpark, the number of registered voters is not equal. You don't draw your districts that way.
You think back in, I think back 40 years ago, some guys and some ladies I know, they could get 200 people in a room easily. And then they could bring in one person that they got from every single one of the city council districts and saying, you're running against the incumbent, we're all going to sign your papers, but you can answer us. And they could do it in one night.
Well, thankfully, they're not allowed to vote from the other districts.
But they
can sign, sure.
Like that too, just like people in Drake. We always got involved in Lowell elections because we had friends in Lowell because they have family in Drake. At one point, we had 9 city councils had a brother or sister living in Drake. Not a cousin or an uncle, a brother or sister living in Drake. So the towns are connected. So for all the good stuff they think they're doing, there's this other bad stuff. But it just still doesn't make any sense to me to punish people that vote. Like it's messed up Boston. You punish the people that come out to vote versus the people that don't. And you give them a representative. Democratic State Committee, same thing. They all got representatives that could get elected. Now they control the party. Good luck to them. Because we're all gone. We left.
All right.
Sorry.
No, that's enough. This is all part of the discussion, but one more item, but it involves 2 different ballot questions. It's 2025. In 2026, Massachusetts voters will head to the polls again to elect their governor, all the office holders, and however many ballot questions end up on the ballot. And there are literally dozens of them, 3 dozen, I think, ballot questions that have been proposed and have begun the process of 40. Okay.
I know 40 at least.
Okay.
The Attorney General approved. This will meet constitutional muster, just like she approved Diana's question to go on the ballot.
And now she's trying to determine whether it's constitutional.
Now she's saying it's not, but she approved it. You can't have it both ways, but I just had to bring that up.
But yes, thank you. Thank you for scratching that itch.
I wanted it to talk to you. It was a great lady.
But 2 of the ballot initiatives in Massachusetts I found fascinating. One of them calls for voter ID. If you're going to vote, you must show a voter ID.
Right.
Now, there are some instances where a voter ID is required, right? Currently, that any election official at any polling location can and has a duty to ask for an ID, and that is
suspicious that something's going on. They feel some suspicious thing. The person's been inactive because they didn't sign the census, like nomination papers. There's a question of it pops up that they're saying their address is different than on the whatchamacallit. Their address is different than they said. And then you can ask for ID.
Also, if you first time, if you're registered to vote for the first time, you can be asked for an ID.
Right, but
But this ballot initiative would say you have to show a voter ID to vote.
You ready for this? You want to speed the lines up voting? Show an ID. It'll triple the line going.
Why? Why will it make it faster?
You put it on the machine. The lady holds
the scanners.
Click, next, click. Not what's your name, what's your last name, type it in, what street you live in. No. Click, there's a problem with this one. Take her aside, talk to her about it. Here's the problem. Next, you start using an ID, the lines go 3 times faster.
But your ID is, you may have a driver's license that from your old address when you move. In the city of Lowell, you get a lot of renters and so on and so forth. So
you have a problem with that. What you do is you take the person aside, not the person doing the machine. You have another person at the polling location, take them aside with the warden and the clerk and figure out the problem.
Now, lest folks think that it's such a radical idea to have people show an ID to vote. It happens in, what is it, 36 states already?
Yeah.
In the United States?
Well, because if you think it's a radical idea, you're just not okay.
So I'm just going to do some quick math. That's 72%, almost 3/4 of the states in the United States allow you to show a voter ID. Pretty much every civilized country in the world. Perhaps in some of these countries that are...
Even Russia.
Even Russia requires a voter. Every single country, and by the way, and as we talk about, asking for voter ID depresses the vote. It discourages people from voting. Well,
it should discourage people that shouldn't be voting and people that are doing something illegal.
That's bullshit. Every country that requires a voter ID trounces the United States of America in percentage of turnout, especially in local races.
Right. And the whole point,
so that's a lie.
Right. And the whole point is, why would you not want it other than you're supporting something that's nefarious? I mean, you don't fool anybody. A 7-year-old kid knows that. You're up to something. There's a reason you don't want somebody to have to show an ID. Don't give me that stuff. Just like they didn't want the ballot box in the police station. Well, if they stopped breaking into it, destroying the ballots in it, I would have put it out on the thing. But, those are the same people that don't want to go to the police station.
We're still waiting for Will, by the way, to announce where that's going to be. He hasn't. They're supposed to have an election subcommittee hearing tomorrow night, but I'm hearing it might have been canceled now. So I'm waiting for the answers of that.
You paid for a grant for them, and like the guy at Lowell Lock did, Timmy Coughlin, my good friend Timmy, who works in elections. Take an electric screwdriver and take the top off in 11 seconds. You take $4 grand, just take the top off and take the ballot. They shouldn't be. If you don't, I mean, it's insanity.
Our elections are safe and secure. YouTube censors, our elections are safe and secure, more secure than anywhere in the world.
Right.
And voter IDs is just a ballot question. That's the only reason we're talking about it. So I can see that one having a chance to pass.
Oh, it should.
To be honest with you, they will, because I can see some folks saying, even left-leaning folks saying, yeah, we want some voter ID. You know which ballot question will never pass? I don't care what. There's also one saying eliminate mail-in voting. Unsolicited or unfettered mail-in voting. You have your absentee the way it used to be for military members, maybe somebody who's incapacitated, a nurse or whatever. But this, if you just don't want to show up and vote on election day and you want a mail-in ballot, you can do mail-in voting.
That's because they're not going to be able to separate the mail-in ballot from the absentee. People are going to say, "Oh, I like my mail-in ballot." No, it's an absentee. It's different. You should only get it for certain things. Right?
That one has no prayer of ever passing in Massachusetts. They're not going to eliminate mail-in voting.
Unfortunately,
the genie's out of the bottle.
And that's the one where you have the most corruption.
That's where in Texas, as a matter of fact, the Attorney General just arrested 16 different people. All of them, some type of an official elected or appointed, many of them overseeing elections themselves, right? Including a judge, if I remember, arrested for vote harvesting. And where do they do it? Elderly, nursing homes, things you hear around these parts that I heard. In 2016, a woman from Andover reached out to me when I was doing radio, said, hey, I wasn't visiting my mother in her nursing home room and I found a completed ballot in her thing. She didn't request it. She knew nothing about it. And yet.
Oh, yeah. We had an issue in one place in Lowell, and I don't want to say where it is, but I when I came in, you mentioned Christine
O'Connor, this solicitor.
Yeah, and I knew exactly what she was talking about. I looked at the thing, and 100% of the people voted in stop like 5 people. So I just put it out on the street in that area. I'm watching that, and I'm going to check, which we do. I check the signature, every single against the signature and everything.
Wait, and there was a apartment complex?
3 of them, on the street in Lowell. Yeah.
Where 100% of the people who were registered to vote voted?
Voted, yeah.
What year was 20? You came in 2022, right?
The 20 election, yeah. So I said, I'm fine with
The
vote.
2020, 2020, the most secure election in American history.
Right, so
YouTube censors,
Yeah.
2020, the most secure election
Yeah.
in American history.
Right.
As we were told many, many times.
So
100% of the people in 3 apartment complexes voted in Lowell.
On one street.
How many voted in 2022 when you were elections director?
Down to about 26. Went down to like 26. I said, I'm checking all the signatures. I'm checking all of the, and I did. You can check them on the end. The signatures are right there. I mean, you can get a pretty good idea if it was a person or not. And just one of the sides have challenge and no.
Dropped from 100 to 26%. Must not have been any exciting candidates on the ballot, right? It was the Trump effect. Donald Trump was on the ballot in 2020, not in 2022. So, I mean, we did have a gubernatorial race. You would think that those same residents and those complexes, or maybe just they all moved out in the ensuing 2 years. Interesting.
People I know that had no idea that they voted. No, I didn't get a chance to vote. Oh, yeah, you did. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, thanks. It's easy to find out if you want to do the work.
If you, well, that's why I always laugh. You hear over and over again, there's no proof of voter fraud, right? And then it became there's no proof of widespread voter fraud. This is where the YouTube censors are going to get upset.
I did like 11 years for Billy in elections, but I did like 15 in Homeland Security. A lot of the stuff I learned that people in Homeland Security, we were inventing it as we went. There was no Homeland. That's how I learned how to use a lot of those investigative techniques. I learned a lot from the FBI guys, state police guys. That's how I said, okay, that makes more sense. I worked well and all. But yeah.
So a lot of interesting stuff in Lowell, Greater Lowell, and the world around it. And now we know a little bit more about gerrymandering, and you can see how it's done, even by these virtuous, altruistic states that care only about every person's vote being counted. Every vote counts, we're told over and over again. Not so much you out in Chelmsford, me out in Chelmsford. Our vote doesn't count as much because they melded us in with Lowell. And anyway, the rest is history. So, all right. As always, a fascinating discussion, Mr. Pappas.
Thank you. Fun.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah. I'll reach out to you. We'll do it again in a few weeks.
Have a good vacation.
Thank you. Going down to the Cape for a little bit with the kids and the wife, and then we got a few more days we're planning. We'll change locations at some point, but good time. So thank you. Thanks to Greg. Thanks to you for tuning in. As Greg told you, I'm going on vacation. Not yet, though. You got to deal with me one more day, a Trigger 'em Tuesday edition of the Daily Pulse, where I'm going to look at a very busy, packed Lowell City Council meeting agenda. 28 council motions and a bunch of other stuff on there as well. We'll pick and choose a few of the more interesting ones out there. Of course, later this week, Danielle McFadden will be in here. She's got youth sports. She's got education covered, and she's got business covered as well. She is the president of the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce. So she's going to pinch hit for me Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
She's pretty good.
She's better than I mean, look.
I watched the email sometimes. She's pretty good.
She wants to take over. I'm done. I mean, she can topple me in a heartbeat if she wants to.
She asks great questions.
The voters will certainly choose her to host the podcast, but it will be another full week of the Daily Pulse, the show that keeps its finger on the pulse of Lowell and the world around it. So till next time, everybody stay safe, stay cool out there in this 90-degree heat, and I will see you on the other side.